True History of the Kelly Gang is the seventh novel of the Australian author Peter Carey. First published in the year 2000, it went on to win the Booker Prize and the Commonwealth Writers' Prize. Despite its title, it's really a fictionalised autobiography of the gang's leader, Ned Kelly. It begins with an account of his childhood and finishes with a few additional contemporary sources that give a terse account of his final days. The story is so well known, there's really no danger of me giving spoilers. Born in 1854, Ned Kelly grew up to become a bushranger, a 19th century Australian outlaw, and he wore a homemade suit of armour during his last shootout with the police. Surrounded and heavily outnumbered, 3 members of the gang were shot dead. Kelly himself survived to stand trial for murder in 1880. After he was hanged, he became a folk icon. Carey gives Kelly an incredibly individual voice, 3/4 literate, but highly intelligent and deeply sensitive, which also feels authentic. Kelly is tough, yet prim enough, as a 19th century outlaw might well be, to censor cuss words for the benefit of his daughter, for whom this novelised account is written. In reality, of course, Ned Kelly didn't have a daughter, which is one of the ways in which Carey has modified the historical reality to suit the novel. Given that Kelly can still be a divisive figure amongst Australians, not everyone sees him as a hero, what's the author's purpose here? My suggestion is that he's mainly concerned to show how a person may occasionally be forced into a life of crime. It's common to hear objections to that notion along the lines of, no one ever has to do wrong, there's always a choice, always the option of saying no, etc. Carey presents Ned Kelly as a thoroughly decent person throughout. However, a raft of inherited material disadvantages, the persistent force of prejudice, systematic discrimination by the authorities, bad luck, and an inhospitable climate combine for all practical purposes to force his hand. However true it may be theoretically that one can always resist a life of crime, most readers will probably conclude that the Ned Kelly depicted in this novel holds out far longer than might reasonably be expected. In other words, what we have here is not just a meditation on crime and the moral responsibility of the individual, but also on what society owes the individual. Towards the end, the novel also manages to raise questions about the mythical features of a character like Ned Kelly. One of the men who stands most consistently against him is a schoolteacher who manages to save a train full of police officers at significant risk to his own life. Unfortunately or not, history records him as a traitor. There's a strong similarity between this section of the book and Rob Hanson's 1983 The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. The difference is that Hanson's Jesse James is ignoble, whereas Carey's Ned Kelly isn't. Arguably, James ought to be the object of scorn, Kelly pity. By what processes did they both become objects of veneration? That raises questions about how far we can ever know any historical figure. It's difficult enough to know friends and family, but with someone long dead, all we have are sources, the best of which probably don't agree, sometimes even internally. Either way, True History of the Kelly Gang is an outstanding work of fiction. It's pacey and the characters are robust. It's one of those rare literary novels that succeeds on its own terms, poses important questions, and as a page-turner, outdoes the majority of commercial novels.